Om, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyanandana Shalakya Chaksharanmilitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutavadagamlam Shri Gurun Shri Vaishnavanchacha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakavitamanchacha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kantana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gurve Gaurachandraya Shri Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangyam langate kirim yat kripatam ham bande shikaram deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Jai, everyone who has joined. I've tried a second attempt. It's a second attempt. I'm not convinced that I will be able to speak well in the second attempt as well. But if you just bless me so that I can take the discussion in the right direction and at the right time, right words comes out of my mouth, and all will be so, so that will be very helpful. I hope you are able to hear me. Okay. Just in case if you are not able to hear me, then please let me know.
No, it's okay. We can hear you.
Great. Thank you. So we started Bhagavad-gita chapter 12 earlier. And out of 4 questions Arjun asked, one question Arjun asked, but Krishna explains with 4 subtle answers. We are going to discuss the last answer that Krishna explains what are the symptoms of a devotee. Prabhupada explains that this movement, Krishna conscious movement, is a movement which explains how to become dear to Krishna. And these 8 verses in this explanation, Krishna tells who is dear to me. All these qualities are the qualities normally a person develops when he becomes a devotee automatically. It's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that once a person becomes devotee, the quality of Krishna also comes to the devotee. But if possible, then one should also attempt to become dear to Krishna by acquiring these qualities. No, I'm trying to actually, I've read through the qualities and uh, I've tried to categorize these qualities that in terms of one should exhibit the qualities in terms of self-control, the qualities that one should have when they interact with others, the quality that one should have when they interact socially, and the qualities one should have when they actually worship Krishna. Now these qualities are there, but they are not in a sequence as we go through the verses. Like Advaita is one of the quality, which is one quality which is one should Advaita, which means non-envious. Just let me open this. So, and this quality is one should be friend to everyone. One should have compassion for every being. So, how a devotee should interact when one meets someone else, others. So, one should be very much compassionate. That's what it means. Advaita Sarvbhutanam. One has to be, for all living entities, one has to be compassionate. That's how Krishna begins with. Then few of the qualities Krishna describes, and these qualities means like how one should interact or keep it to themselves, how one should develop qualities when he is in worshipping Krishna. Um, he should be kind. He should be nirmamo. One should not have proprietorship. This is what very important. Uh, Isha Vashe Idam Sarvam. That means like everything that belongs to Krishna, and devotees knows that well, that everything belongs to Krishna, and see himself as Krishna's instrument in whatever he does. So he doesn't take pride. So whatever he does, he knows that everything belongs to Krishna and everything is done by Krishna, and he is just an instrument. Then Krishna explains one should be. Then Krishna says that a devotee is free from false ego. So false ego, what is false ego? Uh, Ego is something which we say is that this is I'm independent of Krishna. Designations, having designations that I'm human being, uh, and I don't need to worship Krishna. So when I say that, uh, it's false ego that I, me, myself is a false ego. Mine, everything is false ego. Um, like if I am doing the thing, then I'm independent of Krishna is false ego. I can enjoy independence of Krishna is false ego. But actually, the the ego is I'm eternally servant of Krishna. That is a true ego, and that's also said in uh, Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Charitamrita also that uh, Krishna. What is said? Sorry. Naham vipro nacham na nara na cha par narapati na vyaso na shudro naham varani na grihapatir. And similarly, Krishna said, who I am, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, Gopir Bhartu Pad Kamlir Das Anudas. That is the real ego. So if we are not in the real ego, if a devotee doesn't, if a person doesn't has a real ego, then he has false ego. He knows everything belongs to Krishna, sees himself as an instrument of Krishna, not to do it, and offers all the results he has earned to Krishna and Gurudev. So in that way, he becomes independent of pride. Now, uh, the next quality Krishna tells is one who is equal in both happiness and distress. Now, this is dualities, and something actually there are some verses which says that dualities happens in life. So Krishna says that like season, the happiness comes and distress comes. So there is no control. Like one cannot control happiness to stay forever. One cannot control distress to stay forever. And what is important is that for a devotee, he takes happiness and distress as a mercy of Krishna. He stays calm in success or failure. If it comes as a success, it's Krishna has given success. If it's failure, then he believes that Krishna has given failure. So is happiness fine? If it's distress, that's also given by Krishna because Krishna is trying to teach something. An example from Vedas, or example from Srimad Bhagavatam, is example of Bali Maharaj when he's arrested by uh, Vaman Dev. He surrendered. If it is distress as well, he surrendered. Prahlad Maharaj as well. Prahlad Maharaj, when someone else was giving him kind of, his father was giving him distress, then he was also, Krishna will protect. So there's no reason to be. If Krishna wills, Mare Krishna Rakhe Krishna Mare Kaun. So similarly, the next quality is tolerant. Krishna says that tolerant. One has to be Shami. Shami, the other meaning of Shami is to excuse basically, and the tolerant. So example is that enduring one, uh, when there is a pain and insults basically happening, one should not lose faith. One should be tolerant. If someone is doing something which is not in line, if one sees someone which is not in line with Krishna consciousness, one should be tolerant. If someone even are trying to give stress to a devotee, when a devotee is tolerant, uh, he's not actually uh, being disturbed by something. So if someone gives any distress to a devotee, he excuses. What happens is that if someone disturbs a devotee, devotee knows that distress can't come if Krishna doesn't permit. So he knows that. He also knows that if someone is trying to give distress to him, uh, in his devotional services, and his devotional service is disturbed, Krishna is not happy. So Krishna will give repercussions to that person. So he would rather pray to Krishna that please don't give repercussions to that person. Like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was being hanged, and then he was still on his crucifixion, was saying that, "Oh Lord, please excuse them, because they don't know what they are doing." Similarly, Haridas Thakur was beaten in marketplace, and he was tolerant. He was praying to Lord Krishna that please don't make them suffer because they are giving suffering to me. Like that, he is tolerant. Then the next quality is said that a devotee is always satisfied, santushta. That means like my current situation, there, whatever joy comes first from serving Krishna, I'm happy with that. Uh, he doesn't desire anything more or less basically. So whatever comes his way, he's happy. He's santusht, like that. So so this one is Prabhupada gives example. If a devotee will come get money, then he's fine. If he doesn't get money, that's Krishna's will as well. So he's happy. Um, so like that. Then Yat Atma. Yat Atma means self-control. One is regulated in senses and mind. And one with regulated sense and mind, he engages in Krishna's service. And when he engages in Krishna's service, he's he gets purified. So his habits gets controlled. The routine comes basically. So we do have a routine that is recommended by Prabhupada. Wake up early in morning, do sadhana bhakti, take bath, do rounds, serve deities, like that. So like that, basically serve deities and all. So like that, he will be. Um, we follow a routine. So and with self control. So that is important. And there are so many mind is very dangerous, and he mind desires sense gratification. If we don't get sense gratification, then there is mind persuades one to do something. But if we engage ourselves in regular devotional service, then our mind will be then will be self-control. Because Krishna says that a person who has made mind his friend, he's mind who's made mind under his control, the mind is greatest friend. And if mind is not under control, then mind is the biggest enemy. The next one is Satatam Yogi and Dirnashya. So Satatam Yogi. Um, Satatam Yogi means just 1 second, please. Yeah. So he is fixed in devotional service with determination. So regularly and Prabhupada says that one who worships, who follows devotional principles, is topmost. And then Prabhupada says that because of that, deity worship is very, very important. Because if one realizes deity worship, then he is always thinking of how to serve Krishna. Then he is always trying to do please Krishna in some sense, and he's always remembering. So that is very important. And if a person is able to do that regular thinking about Krishna, then he is topmost devotee because a topmost yogi. And then then the determination is important. So whatsoever condition comes, whatsoever obstacle comes, whatever service a devotee can do to Krishna, he would like to do. He would not break his commitments. And that's very important as well. A devotee vows to keep the sadhana and try to keep a steady sadhana as much as possible. And also devotee commits not to break the regulative principle. So that is determination. As much as possible, Krishna feels. So that determination is there to stay steady in Krishna consciousness. And then next is my. Then it is Krishna says that a devotee uh, engages, fix his mind and intelligence in Krishna. So Prabhupada said that one should chant 16 rounds. And then someone was there who asked Prabhupada that I'm chanting so much round more. So Prabhupada said, chant millions of rounds. So that means constantly keep on chanting, taking the name of Krishna. Constantly remember Krishna. So that is mind and intelligence. Intelligence is just suppose we have skills, like Dinesh Prabhu has his skills to do a lot of innovative stuffs in computer, serving, uh, developing websites and cafe thing. So that is using intelligence into Krishna's service. Similarly, Pranav Prabhu takes lot of has lot of puts lot of intelligence. Tulsi and decoration team lot of intelligence to decorate the altar during festivals. So these are engaging intelligence in Krishna service, mind and intelligence, always thinking of Krishna, how to serve, constant remembering, while serving, even taking holy name, and then by Krishna's mercy, we get intelligence and we engage intelligence in Krishna's service. Now, the next one is by the next quality is that devotee doesn't try to put anyone in difficulty, in trouble. He makes sure that because of him, no one is troubled. That is very important. Devotee is merciful. He doesn't like to make anyone to experience difficulty. He is gentle. One of the example Haridas Prabhuji gives is when even a fly or someone comes in house, basically, instead of killing, Haridas Prabhuji is very careful in taking the fly out of the house and not actually disturb even insects because even insects are Krishna's parts and parcel. One example from Prabhupada is that there was a cockroach, and then Prabhupada took the cockroach out of the window and said that I give you the entire world. So even in that situation, a devotee would not like to put anyone uh, as well as the insects in distress. We normally what happens is sometimes uh, we we see that we act like that people around us gets in distress, that and one should normally avoid that. But on the other hand, if different people tries to give a devotee distress, he is not bothered, he is not disturbed, because he is internally connected to Krishna. He is calm, ignores the critics, and then he says he's centered at service. If someone is trying to criticize that you are not doing good service and all, obviously he takes positive criticism. But if something and improves himself, but if the service, but he's not bothered. And sometimes it happens like in situation is that some different community will try to give. These are how the social behavior basically. In the socially, if someone try to give stress to a devotee, in that case, uh, devotee prays for him, basically prays for him so that he could progress in Krishna service, rather than wishing bad for him, or he tries to keep himself away from that person. So that's how the thing is there, but he is not bothered. The next one is not dependent on ordinary course of activities. So ordinary course of activities is something like doing extra efforts to attain something. Um, like money. I mean, one will not uh, spend a lot of, one will not, uh, if devotee is offered a money, he's happy with that, but he doesn't struggle to acquire it for himself. But if it is for Krishna, the Krishna will give money and somehow or all, somehow he has faith on Krishna, but he is not agitated. Like uh, in our current situation, we all require money for the temple renovation, uh, Lakshmi and funds. But we have faith in Krishna that whatever efforts we do, basically, even if we take pain to achieve it, Krishna will provide. Uh, but similarly, if uh, one has to do activities for himself, he will not take, a devotee will not take that pain. He tries to keep himself, his requirements to minimum, and see how he can serve uh, everyone else, basically. Now, serve Krishna. So that is an apeksha. Then a devotee is pure. He's clean in heart and clean in body. So we chant the mantra. Uh, Bhaya Abhyantaram Suchi. So one is externally clean by taking bath in morning, and internally clean by chanting mantras, by chanting rounds. His heart gets clean, and he's pure. Basically, once he's clean, so he has clean mind, minimum lifestyle, and he's pure. And in this way, when one is pure, he can serve Krishna, and Krishna is pleased. Um, Then the next quality is a devotee is expert. So devotee is skillful in service. He, by the mercy of Krishna, a devotee gets expert in executing his service, because that is the service that he executes. It comes directly from Krishna by the mercy of Guru Maharaj. So he understands that, and he doesn't is not proud of that, but he tries to use his best, um, and be very skillful in serving Krishna. That is why he becomes Daksh. And we know that all the gopis and other exalted devotees, gets are very expert in executing devotional service, and they are so expert, like Guru Maharaj, that they engage others as well in the devotional service. In our temple, if we take example, then Haridas Prabhuji, Vidur Prabhuji, Pranab Prabhu will engage everyone else to do service in Krishna. They are expert themselves, and they also make others expert. And then next verse is without cares. So one way of understanding is a devotee is careless, but that's not true. Here, what is explained is devotee is careless because he has full faith on Krishna. He does his activity perfectly, but he is not bothered by the failure because he trusts that if Krishna will uh, be taking care of it. Also, Prabhupada explains that he is carefree because he's not part, or he doesn't take part in any party, which will mean that if there is like they always tussle between two parties, one is pro and one is anti. But a devotee is not actually doesn't belongs to any party. He concentrates in his devotional service, and in this way he reduces his anxiety through faith that Krishna will take care. So he's not part of a pro or against. He is friends to all, and he doesn't care, and that's why he is carefree. I mean, he is without cares basically. In some sense, one sense is that he's not bothered, and in other sense, he depends on Krishna and doesn't care to take care to be part of a controversial subject. He just goes on. Next one is he's free from all pains and distress. Um, so these are some dualities, basic dualities uh, that Krishna is describing. So important thing is that he's free from pains and distress. Um, so pains and distress are dualities. Uh, Sometimes pain comes and sometimes distress come, and it seems like they are very similar words, but Prabhupada has explained them. Just give me one sec. So it's same. He explains like if one try to endeavor to build something, um, then sorry, Prabhupada explained pain is free. A devotee is free from pains because he's free of designations. He knows that his body is a designation, and if there are pains, bodily pains, he is not a body, and therefore he should not actually he should tolerate the pain. That's how Prabhupada has explained. He is pains and distress, and distress is something which says that if one want to execute a devotional service in terms of devotee and he is not able to execute, then he feels kind of distress. But a devotee knowing that it's Krishna's will, uh, he made his efforts to his best, but it's Krishna's will. Um, so he doesn't take distress. He does his best basically. It is said like one should act like no prayers will work, and one should pray like no work will will be fruitful. So in similar way, Krishna, a devotee, is free from pains and distress. He is unafflicted by sufferings because uh, he is feeling spiritual bliss within him, and sometimes he also see pains as purifying because if there are no pains, then one actually thinks like if there's no pain or distress in life, then it's he might not actually turn to Krishna. But if there is pain, then he will turn to Krishna. Not striving from some results. So a devotee doesn't strive for some results. Like Prabhupada gives an example that a devotee is doesn't spend a lot of energy for getting something if it is not benefiting him to advance in devotional service. So if a devotee can get money and all, basically that's absolutely fine. But if is he's too much striving to get result, then he avoids. A devotee would avoid that. He would rather work for action. Only he would work for actions which are for Krishna's pleasure. So there are different things devotee does basically for Krishna's pleasure, and maintaining family also is for Krishna's pleasure only, because the family is related to Krishna, and one has to maintain the family if he's in Grihast life. So, but the stress is he's not take special efforts or strive too hard. Sarv arambha parityagi. I mean, put too much efforts to get something. By Krishna's will, if something comes, he will accept it. But then Prabhupada also add one last point. He says that if a devotee has to construct a temple of Lord, then he can take anxiety and efforts, um, whatever, he will take that. But for his own house, he might not take that level of anxiety. Then the another duality here is one who neither rejoices nor grieves. So he's equal, and enjoys. He's equal when gain or loss comes. His happiness depends on Krishna. If Krishna is pleased, he experiences bliss, and he stays balanced. So if there's a lot of happiness, a lot of uh, re- things to rejoice, he will give credit to Krishna. And if something is to grieve, basically the situation which he has to grieve, he will also give credit to Krishna and understand as a supreme will, and then he actually remains like that. Then he neither laments nor desires. So a devotee is free from the material hankering, but he hankers spiritual progress obviously depends on the Krishna, and he's content with whatever Krishna gives as his plan, but his desire will be there. So he never laments. Laments also is important, is because he understands Krishna's will. If there is anything uh, that's not happening favorable, then he will look as Krishna's mercy or Krishna's arrangement. So although although he might be depressed, but he doesn't keeps on lamenting. That will stop him to carry on his devotional service. Um I don't know, someone actually, my bad, but if it's you, probably please excuse me. But I'm just trying to say is that sometimes someone has told that even after uh, one's parent in family there's a demise, but then they were still serving Krishna. So by social order, it might not be right thing to do, but from bhakti perspective, it is a right thing to. It devotee thinks that it is a right thing to keep on serving Krishna, um, and the service should not stop. One who rejoices both auspicious and inauspicious things. And this is also another duality. And Krishna says that in the terms of devotional service, there will be good. Uh, to carry on devotional service, there will be superstitions sometimes, and but to carry on devotional service, one should not believe in superstitions, but give more importance to the service. Even something auspicious comes, if the service is there, devotional service is there, serving. temple is more important, then one should avoid that inauspicious or auspicious things. Giving an example, while going to temple, there might be a black cat crossing the road, and then devotee think that it's inauspicious to go temple at this time, but it doesn't matter. If a devotee has to carry on serving at temple, inauspicious things or the superstition should be avoided. Similarly, if there is some auspicious muhurat is there and one has to do some karmic activities, one should avoid that and rather serve Krishna during that period. An example is there is uh, no, I will not give that example because that is controversial. Fine. So then there is equal to friends and enemies. So a devotee is neutral to all. Devotee wishes everyone serves Krishna. Everyone, Krishna sees everyone. Krishna's take care of everyone. Even if he's a person's enemy. So whatever Krishna says, Krishna wants is right. Krishna wants uh, s- everyone to be happy. Then that should be there. But devotee still prays to Krishna that everyone should be happy, and that's how it's there. Everyone is engaged in Krishna service. Uh, it's said that no one can get Krishna service unless Krishna gives him his own service, or a pure devotee or devotee gives, um, or pure devotee gives a person service. So if Krishna is not available, then a pure devotee will be wishing well even for his enemies so that they can serve Krishna. And eventually, if the enemies also start serving Krishna, then Krishna is happy, everyone is happy, and eventually they become devotee. So next one is devotee is equal and both equipoised in both honor and dishonor. Um, this is very difficult, um, and these few of the dualities are difficult. If one gets an honor, then a devotee believe that it's by the Krishna's mercy. They have been put into place. It's not their own credit. Just suppose if we chant, keep on chant, if we chant, and somebody actually on the road, and somebody honors, give respect, honors because of chanting, um, then it's not because of us, it's because we are chanting, we engage in Krishna service, and that's why the honor is received. Similarly, it's also seen in offices that if you sometimes dishonor comes because of the service, but one is not disturbed by the others' view because they put themselves more. It's more important to for a devotee to see what is Krishna's approval. If Krishna wants him to do it, Krishna is pleased, then that's fine. If someone tries to bring honor a devotee or dishonor a devotee, if Krishna is happy, he will take that. He will remain humble in both praise. If he receives praise and he receives blame. So for the devotees, normally we see that if devotee tries to avoid praise, and devotee because he feels that it's not helpful in progress in devotional service. And if blame comes, then devotee takes blame as an opportunity to improve themselves, basically, which is, but then they are not disturbed, basically. They try to avoid both. They are equipoised in both honor and dishonor. Then next duality is heat and cold. A devotee is equipoised in heat and cold. Um, Prabhupada says that if if one is free of designation of body, then one understands that he is not a soul. And if they're distressed, if he feels heat or cold on body, he should just tolerate. And but another perspective is that physically and mentally one should be steady in the heat or cold. So that means, like, just suppose a devotee and will tolerate heat or cold, basically, or he gets an ability to tolerate heat and cold. But it doesn't mean that one should be going out in cold just to say that I'm a devotee and I won't be affected. It's not true. Basically, it says that if you, just giving example, if you bath in hot water for 5 minutes, if you can tolerate cold water for 5 minutes, then don't bath in hot water for another more than 5 minutes. So it's equipoise, basically. So even if it's hot or cold, basically, person is equipoise. It's more important to see, to give priority to the health service and health sadhana and service. So not to experiment with hot and cold, but if hot and cold affects one's health, one should give priority to the to the part which his body is comfortable. If he can bath in cold water and not get sick or ill, then fine, he can bath in cold water. But if it does affect his health, it's better to keep in a situation where um, he can tolerate that level, and then that should be fine. Now, one should be equipoise. Next one is equipoise in happiness and distress. So these dualities sometimes overlap. Prabhupada also says that uh, some of the um, qualities are overlapping to each other. Sama Sukha Dukeshu is one of it. But he says that it's repeated again and again because these are important for us to understand. So happiness and distress was there earlier, and then Harsha was there, and then it's Sukha Dukha, Sukha Dukh. So it's both happiness and distress. One is important. One needs to be emotionally balanced. If one see everything as a service of Krishna, mercy of Krishna, with the same reason through the dualities, and chants through the ups and downs in life, then he remains distress free. He is equal in both happiness and distress. If there's a lot of reasons for happiness, he gives credits to Krishna. If there's a reasons or things affecting him, he gets distress. He also gives credit to Krishna. One of the example is a devotee was somewhere having a terminal Krishna, but he was dancing in temple saying that Krishna has given me opportunity so that I'll be with him much earlier than if I wouldn't have that cancer. Uh, a normal person would be distressed, but not in this case, not for the devotees. And then the next one is equipoised in fame and infamy. So Prabhupada actually told that some of the things will repeat. But the fame, if there's a lot of fame, it's very difficult. If the person gets a lot of fame, gets a lot of reputation, then to ground themselves to devotional service is very difficult. But if a devotee is in such situation, he sees that it's Krishna who has given him reputation, and next moment, if a reputation is taken away, it's also Krishna. So it doesn't matter if one gets a lot of reputation and it doesn't, or he get an infamy. The example for the infamy is when Lord Nityananda was equivalent level of sannyasi and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him to marry. He went and married. Some of the people were not convinced that he has fallen down from his position, but it doesn't really matter. The infamy is for the Krishna service, and that's the only opinion that matters. Um, an example of fame and infamy both is when Bali Maharaj was serving Sukracharya, being Brahmana, and Lord Narayan appeared to Aditi Mata. He said that he can't, he has given him because he's serving. He has given him fame because he is serving Brahmana. Similarly, when the things went other way around, he took away everything. But Bali Maharaj was equipoised. He said that even in that moment, when everything is taken away by Lord, it's Lord's mercy only. Otherwise, he would have actually become proud. The next one is free from contaminating association. So we are over with our dualities. Now it's free from contaminating association. A devotee avoids material company. That's what it means. He keeps uh, the company with the devotees, uh, and he chooses spiritual friends mostly, and that's how he's progressed. That's association, which is very important. Prabhupada explains the point association afterwards, but even in Updeshamrita, nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction, it is said that uh, one should avoid the contaminating the associations which are not supportive in progressing in bhakti, and then also says that one should keep association with devotees who will help him progress in bhakti. So devotee is also free from contaminating association, tries to avoid it or keeps it to the minimum level. Uh, and association, another explanation of association is uh, then one should say that should we not go out and preach, associate with someone? But the word association is not to receive association, but to give association. So if we go out to preach, then we should give Krishna to them rather than and avoid getting any material influence from them. So giving association is fine, but one should not keep or receive association of non-devotees. Um, then the next one is always silent. Now this is Prabhupada has nicely explained. Always silent is not like not speaking anything, but whenever speaking about Krishna. Not it means to avoid gossip. So gossip would like, and this also means like the news is there, so many other things out of devotional service is there. So a devotee will see even the gossips or the things outside news that is coming in and try to engage that information in the service of Krishna. It's so obviously it's not the gossip, but the news and everything that comes. If one tries to just casually discuss it, it might not be relevant to devotional service. But if news and all that comes and one understands how that news can interpret into Krishna's devotional service, basically how to progress or avoid unusual condition. Like there, for an example, there was a news earlier that the crowd or the social gatherings are against the native Indians or South Asian people, and then one has to use that news to keep oneself safe so that they can serve Krishna. So that is one thing. So, but whatever he speaks, gathering information from here and there, he speaks about Krishna. He used truth, he speaks truth, he does kirtan, he talks about kirtan, he makes plan, he discusses plan. So that is accepted. But anything other than that, which is not of devotional service, he tries to avoid. That will mean always silent. Then the next one is satisfied with anything. Now, satisfied with anything would mean like whatever Krishna gives, he's satisfied. Whatever devotional service he's doing, he's satisfied with that. It doesn't mean that uh, he's doing a little bit of two steps of devotional service and he's satisfied. Uh, No, not like that. Right. So devotee, whatever he gets, basically, devotee is satisfied. Whatever prasadam he gets, he's satisfied with that. He doesn't actually try to uh, do extra efforts and to get for the foodstuffs, for palatable things, for extra enjoyment. Whatever Krishna gives, he will be happy with that. The next one is doesn't care for residence. This is quite um, important and difficult to understand that if one hasn't got residential facility in life, how will that be possible? Because then sometimes Prabhupada says that Goswamis were living underneath trees and they didn't um, wanted. So Prabhupada also explains that a devotee might be living in a palatial building, but he and might be living in a tree. But what Prabhupada says that he is not attached or attracted to neither. So whatever comes his way, he is happy. And in our present situation, one can have one. There will be senior devotees. There will be exalted Guru Maharaj, spiritual masters will be visiting. So if one wishes to make their residence like that, so that they can accommodate large number of devotees, that should be fine. That is okay. But for himself, as such, for his own comfort, he's not too attached. He's detached of comfort. Um, and whatever home he has, he treats that home as a Krishna's home. And he stays peaceful with that. He pays bill for the home, mortgage for the home. It's for the Krishna's home, and we live with Krishna, and we live in Krishna's home as a servants of Krishna, and we serve Krishna. So that is safe. So that is how devotee doesn't care for residence. If he gets a palatial residence, fine. If he is not getting that much, whatever Krishna gives, it depends on Krishna. Then the next one is one who is fixed in knowledge. So knowledge is I'm the servant of Krishna is a knowledge. Gopi Bhartur Gopi Bhartur sorry Padaravindayor Das Anudas. Um, so that's how Krishna says that that is a real identity, that is a real knowledge, the knowledge of Krishna, knowledge of devotional service. And devotee is fixed in that with firm conviction, uh, that fixed in that knowledge that I'm Krishna's servant of servant, and he treats like that. And the other aspect of this one is one keeps on reading. So reading is also important. Prabhupada said that keep reading my books, read my books, and that's why devotee keeps reading Bhagavad-gita always. Then they keep reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and once it's complete, then they start again. So that's how they are fixed in spiritual knowledge of Krishna. And it's important as well, because if you don't know Krishna, if you don't know about don't have knowledge of Krishna, then how will you be able to relate with them? If you don't know Nand Baba and what his position, then how will you be able to relate to him? If you don't know Krishna's Sakhas, then how will you be able to relate to Krishna's Sakhas? So that knowledge is important, knowledge of Krishna. Then the next one is who is engaged in devotional service. So one a devotee is always active in bhakti. So there are 9 limbs of bhakti: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Pad Sevanam, Arshanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Atman Nivedanam. So these are the devotional service, and in some sense or other, devotee is always engaged in that. If the devotee is not listening about Krishna, then he will be uh, uh, Shravanam Kirtan. He's been doing Kirtan. Speaking of Krishna. If not speaking, listening, then he probably will be doing remembering Krishna. Otherwise, he'll be doing Archanam. So, like this, basically worshipping Krishna. So, in some sense or other, devotees always engaged in Krishna service. And in this chapter earlier, Krishna says that how one can be engaged in Krishna service, and what level and what to do basically. So Krishna has already explained, and devotee is will find himself always serving Krishna in some way or another. So his life, devotee's life, is always centers around Krishna service. Um, Otherwise, the life is zero. If we put Krishna in front of everything else or in center, then the life become meaningful. Otherwise, the life becomes void. The next one is a devotee always follows the imperishable path of devotional service, follows the imperishable path of bhakti. One is engaged; he's always engaged in service, devotional service. The previous one, and this one says that he follows the imperishable path of bhakti. He walks on the eternal spiritual road, bhakti, and at the end he transcends the death basically. But if he gets a second life, basically he he sticks to devotional service. If he gets liberated, goes to Golok, eternal, go to planets, Golok, Vrindavan, or wherever he desires to go. He goes there and practices devotional service. So the path of devotional service is always follow the path of devotional service, whether in this life or after transcendenting life, next life, or getting liberated. It doesn't matter for a devotee as long as he is in association with devotee and keep on doing devotional service. He would never leave that. And then Krishna says that who completely engages themselves with faith, making Krishna as a supreme goal of their life. So devotee never loses faith on Krishna. Whatever Krishna does is right, and whatever Krishna will keep on doing will be right. The goal of devotee is Krishna, and to achieve Krishna is, and the means to achieve goal is also Krishna. Like Krishna, chanting the holy name of Lord is the means to achieve more holy name of the Lord. So more chanting, more service to more devotional service will unlock us to achieve more devotional service. There are some points which Prabhupada explains at the end is uh, and in the last paragraph, Prabhupada just again gives the summary of the chapter. And in that, Prabhupada says that the absolute, one of the concept of absolute truth is the impersonal worship. Prabhupada says that they work without fruitive results. One works without fruitive results, so they don't look for the fruitive results. They meditate, they cultivate knowledge, and through that, they try to understand spirit and matter. So the impersonal Brahman service remains at this level. But then Prabhupada says that that is beneficial only till this level. As soon as devotee has chance to associate with a pure devotee, then these activities for impersonal worship doesn't is not required, doesn't is not important. And one surrenders. And so 2 points Prabhupada says that if one gets a chance to associate with pure devotee, even impersonal person practicing very staunch in impersonal worship, if he gets chance to associate with the pure devotee and one surrenders himself for self-realization, and that time, uh, till only that time, the impersonal worship is beneficial, not beyond that. Prabhupada says that fortunately, if one develops directly a desire, and that's very important, that's the word that actually hit me. that desire. If one develops directly a desire to engage in Krishna consciousness and pure devotional service, he does not need to undergo a step-by-step improvement in spiritual realizations, which are mentioned above. So Prabhupada says that just a desire to engage in Krishna consciousness service is where Krishna will manifest his mercy and he will be engaged, able to do Krishna consciousness service. Many of us actually thought, desired that we will be able to do this service, and Krishna actually enabled us to do the service just by the desiring. And as you know, because lot many places we go and then we see that there's an acronym that is given A, B, C, D, E of Bhakti, that's association, books, chanting, devotional service. But I was surprised that Prabhupada gave that acronym in this chapter, 20th verse, Papa. Prabhupada says that A is, Prabhupada says that, but I can actually pick that up. That A, Prabhupada says that through good association, one develops attachment for pure devotional service. So that is association that helps one develop attachment to the pure devotional service. Then B, we call it books, but Prabhupada here says uh, accepts a bona fide spiritual master. So B would stand for bona fide spiritual master. And then Prabhupada says that from bona fide spiritual master, he begins to hear and chant. So then hearing and chanting comes. And then Prabhupada says D is observe regulative principles of devotional service. So devotional service comes here. And obviously, there's a line which says that faith and attachment, with faith, attachment, and devotion, but that faith will come after engagement as well, or with engagement. And then E. Prabhupada says that become engaged in transcendental service of the Lord, that is devotional service with faith. So that's how Prabhupada says, gives. And I thought that it's important that I'll just put it there, what Prabhupada has mentioned in this word. And then finally, Prabhupada says that one need not bother about materials to keep. Um, and then Prabhupada ends this chapter saying that this is how these are the qualities of a devotee, and one should actually try to cultivate these qualities. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Jehu. That was very nice. A little in the 19th verse, Srila Prabhupada and the purport says, which I liked, right at the bottom, one who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications. Then Prabhupada says, of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications.
Yes, that's true.
But engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them. So that to me really struck it, that any devotee hearing this 12th chapter would think, oh my God, I've got to develop all these kind of things, but I'm not. I'm completely the opposite. I hate too much hot weather, and I hate cold as well. I love happiness. I don't want to be distressed. Fame, just like to be praised, be known. And hey, there's mind, bit of contamination, association, and not silent at all. A lot of prajalpa. And, I've been doing this for last, they might say, 10 years or so. But I'm still in this way. So what's happened then? Because Prabhupada said, don't make extraneous endeavor. I think what is to be understood here is, if you make a list of all these things and you're trying to be neutral, but for others, so you just, it's all right, it's cold or sort like that. But inside you think, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Yeah. So that way you might present those qualities to others, but inside it's not solid. So it'll be hollow. My Guru Maharaj used to say, be a holy devotee, not hollow devotee. So it's for show and all that. So people should be very, very careful that you shouldn't even judge others either. So if you see a devotee who doesn't like heat or doesn't like cold or see duality, be very careful. The person is endeavoring, he's endeavoring. I think we should appreciate that he hasn't developed those qualities, or Krishna hasn't given those qualities, but he's solidly engaged. Api chet suduracharo bhajte mamananyavak. Api chet sudurachar, even if durachar, but he's engaged in the service, she consider him sadhu eva samantavya. She consider him sadhu. So I see this chapter very, very interesting, that our Guru Maharaj made us memorize the 20 shlokas. So we used to go to anybody's house, so we would start to just say Vidur, myself, Guru Sevak, and always wonder how can we be equal to friends and enemies, because we're not. You know, we have friends in our circle and enemies, or we are fond of some people, we're not. And it used to bother us, sort of thinking, okay, we're not devotees. Then who is equipoised in honor and dishonor? For a long time I was struggling. Then one day I was just sitting there thinking, you know what, why I'm bothered by a friend and enemy? Because I'm not thinking of Krishna. I'm thinking of the guys I'm with and people I'm with. What if I was thinking about Krishna? Would it really matter if somebody's being friendly? In fact, sometimes friends are a bit of a pain because they take up a lot of your time. And you could be using that time to serve Krishna. And sometimes enemies, they say something which your friends are not going to say it. And you thank the enemy saying, thanks for pointing out, you know, I must improve that. So this bit at the end, who is engaged in devotional service? So engaged, that being engaged in Krishna's service is wonderful. There's many devotees I know, they've just started at the temple, but they're totally engaged. You know, whatever you tell them, you're doing them. They're so dear to me, you know, they might not be initiated or, you know, so what happens is, but you like them, sort of thing, you know, whatever we tell them and he's there, what can I do next? And yet there's others who are initiated and have been with us for a long time and all that. And their emphasis is somewhere else, something else in their life. And you're always anxious for them, thinking, when is this devotee going to be spontaneous? He's been initiated for so long and committed, but his priorities are really outside. So somebody new coming in is so eager to do everything and develop like that. So I realized at any time in your life, just check out, am I totally engaged in devotional service of Krishna and Guru Gauranga Govinda? Once that is the focus, I find you're not really looking at some friend or enemies. Even if they come at the door, you deal with them, Yare Dekho Tahika Krishna Upadesh. So you're just talking about Krishna Upadesh to them. And like answering the phone, our Guru Maharaj said, no, you're not going to say hello, it'll be hell. Oh, you know, just say Haribol. So even at Rolls Royce, I would say Haribol, it sounds like hello. So whether it's my friend or even on my phone here, whenever this energy guys ring, I'll go, Hare Krishna, and they'll say, Hare Krishna, because they respond like that. And then I realize, I don't know this person. But then they say, oh, well, you know, how are you doing and everything. So I put the phone down because I realize this energy, you know, guy. So the key thing is we should all try to engage in devotional service, you know, and sincerely. You'll start to see that those qualities which are written there, they'll start to appear. And I said the other day on Sunday that the first question is about impersonal and personal. It dawned on me there. Actually, Arjun is clarifying it, that all these qualities will come automatically if you are devoted to the personal form of the Lordship. If it's impersonal, you're not going to get all these kind of things. You know, they will develop those. They'll be kind and all these kind of things. But Krishna won't be giving them. I was hearing a katha. Surdas, somebody came to Surdas and told him, probably, don't you feel fear all the time because you're blind and you can't see and all that? He goes, why? Why should I? He said, but I was thinking, you must be anxious. He goes, look, you got eyes, haven't you? He goes, yes. He said, then Krishna has said, you be responsible for your security because I've given you eyes. I said, but he knows in my case, I haven't got eyes. So then Krishna is taking responsibility for my security. So that's Surdas. So I really, really enjoyed it. He goes, look, if you're trying to be intelligent, then Krishna says, well, he's trying to be intelligent, so let him be intelligent and protect himself. But if somebody's very simple, Krishna realized he's surrendered to me, I better look after him. So I really like that we try to be intelligent over clever in our bhakti. So Krishna says, okay, if you can manage it, just go ahead and do it. But this is about a child being in the lap of the mother, which means I don't want to be independent. I'm in your, can you look after me? So that is what Sharanagati is. You got the intelligence, you got everything, but you don't want other things. You just want Krishna's love and service. So obviously there's this devotional passage, very, very nice. And we used to memorize it and think about how it is. And we failed. And we saw friends as friends and enemies as enemies. But in recent years, due to our commitment at the temple to the deities and development of devotees, I find we are focusing less on all those things, which was read today. And I realized key thing is be engaged, dedicated in the service of Krishna. So that becomes prominent. So thank you very much for that. Any other comments from others, please? Because we're listening. Let's see, what did you get out of this reading today? Don't be shy. Let's have a comment from someone.
Yes, Prabhu. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, Amarnath Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thanks for the nice lecture. I mean, you can't call it lecture, but discourse or something. I just have one question. We find that in our group, most of, at least 99% are all from India, right? Somehow, I found that, somebody from other countries, they come here, then I think they don't feel comfortable or something, and they drop out. I've seen there's one from Africa who came here 1 or 2 times and he dropped out. So maybe we are not so open to them or something. We can't blame them, but they'll feel out of place or something. I mean, it's just my, I just thought about it actually.
But is that pertaining to this chapter?
No, it's not pertaining to this chapter, no.
Yeah.
But still, I just thought.
I'll tell you what my observation. We used to have loads of
yes,
English devotees, and even my godbrothers, a couple of them were from Jamaica, and one from Nigeria. So we get along fine. And I find that this is happening in most of ISKCON. There are 4 Indian devotees now. Even you go to America, which used to be loads of American devotees. They find the culture, because Indians are naturally, they accept Lord Ram, Gita Ram, this thing, they praise it easily, and they'll talk about the characters of, the demigods and others, and accept. Yes. But they can't get into it because they don't know what personality we're talking about. And eventually, in the beginning, they used to say Rama, Krishna, all this kind of thing. But the northern Indians say Ram, Krishna. I remember I went to Hungary and I gave a talk, and this person who was translating was having difficulty because I would say Arjun. They say Arjuna. So the translator would think maybe I'm talking about somebody else. And they say Arjuna, and we say Krishna and Ram. And so I found our language, because the more Bharati there, they're very friendly to each other. So somehow they feel the minority, even though the philosophy is the same and everything. So it becomes a cultural difference, So there's nothing we can do, because if there's more of us, and because I would go to Nigeria, and the majority of them were Nigerians. But I never felt like a minority because I knew the philosophy. I was like, in fact, they looked up to me because I'm from Bharat and in the culture there. So we became friends like anything. But if somebody doesn't know a lot and he
Yes.
sits there, he'll get the philosophy. But I mean, after prasadam time, everybody's laughing and joking.
Yes.
And maybe those guys can't join in because they don't know what the joke is and what it is. But we are familiar with our backgrounds and culture.
Right.
I have seen, like even at the manor now, we go on Sundays. Oh, it's absolutely packed. And at Janmashtami,
Yes.
in Mayapur, all the Russian devotees are in one camp. They've actually they've started to give classes in Russian and the other there. So different tents are there.
The language, yes, okay.
And then the Indians are having their
Yes.
Bengali class or Hindi class upstairs, and then English downstairs. So they realize that we're still on bodily conscious, even though we have same philosophy and everything.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Maharajas was going to have embassies in Mayapur because they had got like Swedish yatra, and then this yatra, and then somebody scrapped that. Unifying, we are dividing.
Yeah, dividing. Yes, sir.
So I would say that it's the social aspect of it that the Indians, once they come together, and
Yes.
I think I'm more thinking now there's the South Indians and then there's North Indians, and
Yes.
there's loads more South Indians coming before Punjabis and Gujaratis were the only Indians. Now
Okay.
there, so in rugby, what happened? They have a Diwali procession or something, and
Yes.
the South Indians taken over, and the Gujarati, they were excluded in their plan. So all of a sudden they were together, and then all of a sudden one group drops out.
Right.
So it's feeling natural with the people around you. Like we had Dashrath and Glenn and a few others, and they would meet afterwards.
Right.
And then they went into what they call it, Krishna, what was it? Krishna West. So they formed a group called Krishna West. So most of the Western devotees were in it, and they stopped wearing dhoti. They said you don't have to put tilak on and all that kind of thing. So that was a deviation there. And their standards start to fall down.
Okay.
They start to mix freely with females and things like that. And they were on Facebook and all that. And one of them was my god brother. And we had to ban them. So I said, sorry, we can't accept it. So you can see culturally they start to feel foreign or minority. But we're not pushing them. I mean, like Mahatma comes to our temple.
Yeah, he's coming. Yes.
He sits there quietly, enjoys it. He's been there. Guru Maharaj, Bharatiya, and
Yes.
did it, So Prabhupada's time, majority were Americans, and then the British. And so I think majority were that, and the language, the mannerism were all Western.
Because New York.
They have come in, and we like other, Kathavachaks, and we refer to others. But before we just quoted Prabhupada. So there isn't a common denominator, maybe they feel that there's something and then there's something else.
Prabhupada did something different. Like, for example, he tried to attract the African people by saying Krishna was a black man, like that. That is a unique way of doing it.
Yeah. Africa once, and he says Krishna is black, but not like you African people. So straight away. And
I think what they say, birds of the same feather flock together, right? So we try to
birds of
go
same
groups.
flock together. Yeah. Okay. Anybody on this question on this 12th chapter, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai Ho Thakurji.
Just on the concept of impersonal devotional, I'm sort of struggling to understand that. Is there any process where you can have a impersonal devotional service? Because without the personal form, there isn't any Abhishek and things like that, devotional service you can follow, is there?
Well, you can't have an impersonal devotional service because devotional service is devoted to something, to a personality. And that's why when I was in Bharat, I went to Punjab and somebody referred to me as a Bhakta hai, a Bhakta hai. So I thought everybody's a devotee, whatever, if they go to the temple and everything. Then I realized, okay, Bhakta, Bhakti, Bhagavan. So there's a link, there's a string there. Bhakta, Bhakti, Bhagavan. So you should be devoted to someone, the Lord. And so Vaishnavas are really called Bhaktas, others are Shaktas. And then you have the Shivites. So when somebody says Bhakta, means he's Vaishnav, and then he's actually personal. Now, with the impersonal, they reckon that Krishna is Brahm Jyoti, say, impersonal, and then he appears as a human being to teach us, or be an example. And same with Lord Ram. And once they leave, they go back into their impersonal form. So to them, that is the highest. But it's like saying in the morning, I see the sunshine first, right? So from the sunshine comes the sun. But it's back to front though. It's from the sun comes the sunshine. So Krishna has said, it'll be on the 14th chapter, the last one, Brahmana hi pratishtaham, that this Brahman comes from me. And so like the sun is you can see the sun, there's a sun globe, then there's a sunshine. And many times you don't see the sun in England, but there is daylight. So people think daylight is all in all, that's the highest. So maybe it's not a complete realization because there's in Bhagavatam, Vadanti tat tatvavidas tatvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagvaniti shabdyate. So that Vedanti, all those who know, have knowledge, they see this non-dual personality. Vadanti tat tatvavidas tatvam yad jnanam advayam. It's the same personality, but the perspective is that you are seeing the Brahman, which is everywhere, and then you see the Paramatma in the heart, Paramatma, and then Bhagwan. So if we are just meditating on the Brahman, it's not complete realization. So you're above the material wranglings, but it's not the highest. And then others see Brahman, and then they see the local Paramatma in the heart. So they meditate on they call yogis, they meditate on the heart. Then you have the Bhakta, which is actually, Shravnam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Path Sevanam, all this Nav Bhakti is to the Supreme Lord. So you could say it's a perspective. But when they declare that the impersonal is higher than the Supreme Lord, that's Mayavadi, Krishna Apradi. So they're trying to kill Krishna. That is not acceptable. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said avoid them, and Prabhupada said just avoid there. So they'll read Bhagavatam, but they declare that Krishna is a great personality, not the supreme personality of Godhead. So is okay, Thakur Bhai, that?
Yeah. I mean, the question that Arjun sort of asked, is the differentiation between the personal and impersonal devotion to. So I can understand. He's the same as sort of like Nirakar and Sakar.
Yeah. But Nirakar doesn't mean without quality. It means not with these qualities we are familiar with. Yeah. He's like Gunatit. He's above those gunas, those qualities.
Yeah.
So Krishna doesn't have the same substance that we made of. We are made of Bhumir aponalo vayu kamano buddhi revacha ahankaritya me bina prakriti rashtada. So earth, water, fire, air, ether, like these are the gross metal elements. We got the body with that. Then you have the mind, intelligence, and false ego. That's the subtle body. And then above that is the soul. So Krishna is a super soul, and the Supreme Lord. So his him, his body and his name and everything, Krishna Nam, Krishna Guna, Krishna Leela Vrinda, Krishna Swarup Sama Sab Chitananda. So Krishna is complete like that, spiritual, it's transcendental. We are partly gross, partly subtle, and partly spiritual, or as an individual soul. And the word Atma is amazing. Sometimes Atma is referred to the body as well. I was just listening to Prabhupada this morning. And sometimes the mind, and then in a pure state, the Atma means the soul. But because like when Thakurbai is there, when Thakurbai is, you're dealing with us, or we see you as Thakurbai, then you're in the car. So you and your car, it has to be one. You got to protect yourself. You got to go be safe on the road and everything. So, we see a car coming, and we see you. We say, oh, there's Thakurbai. But actually, you're pointing at the car. And so this body is called Yantra Rani. So sometimes Atma is considered as the body, because that's everybody familiar with that body. But if you go deeper, then they'll be thinking that's his personality. That's Atma. And then there's a soul. But in Tattva terms, in truth, soul is the individual soul, which is not material, it's transcendental, it's so minute. And then we have different gross bodies. Elephant has his, and we have got ours. So Krishna is clever with this chapter. In the beginning, it distinguishes, Arjuna says, which is easier to understand or better. So Krishna didn't reject the other one. He said the other one is very difficult in relationship. And those who do it, they go through a lot of struggle. And it's not that they are given, torrent of rain and starvation and everything. That struggle. Struggle means they won't be able to realize the truth. So eventually, Bahu Nam Janmanam Ante Jnanaman Mam Prapadyante Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So with Gyan, because impersonalists are Gyanis as well, they mainly quote the Vedas and all that. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. So after many, many births, they will realize Krishna is everything. Because they believe in everything, sameness, but then they realize it's not the Brahm Jyoti, it's Krishna is in everything, and then he becomes Bhakta. So Prabhupada said, I am going to make you in this lifetime Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So everybody said Jai, because he's a spiritual master. And he said, in this one lifetime, I'll make you. That's why the Americans became gurus and everything, because of the empowerment Prabhupada gave them. Similarly, whatever I read, we might try it separately to get these qualities. But I say, if you are actually serving Krishna, in a sincere way, you'll get those qualities anyway, because Krishna will empower you like that. But whereas the impersonal, all you'll do is you'll rise above the social challenges and attachment, and you will be part of the Brahm Jyoti, but you can fall down again. So you can see how troublesome that is. That kind of troublesome. ठीक है ना?
Yeah, the examples of people who follow that, is probably like someone like Jain or how do you say, because they believe in being sort of, the Lordship everywhere, so they don't believe in forms or anything like that.
And Lord Buddha is like Shunyavadi, that you become part of the cosmos. You actually disappear into that. You have soul.